How are you?
I'm very well. You're very kind with your words, and that's it's wonderful. I came yesterday for the LMA dinner, and it's great to have the opportunity to be here and have a bit of a talk. So thank you for the hospitality.
What did you think of the awards and the winners? Pep getting Premier League Manager of the Season, and obviously, did you work your way down at Burnley and what Vincent Kompany's done there? Amazing.
Well, you always feel in those those events, those nights, there are so many stories that we don't really hear during the year.
That's exactly what we said.
It is a good moment to all the managers to almost have a pause. Normally, as managers, we go crazy about the next game, and you haven't got time really to stand still, and that's what this event does. The LMA do that very, very well. Allows the coaches to be surrounded. During the year, you're quite lonely. You're working just in results. Here's an opportunity to open up, to look around, and it was great to see someone like Vincent Kompany, to see what he's done at Burnley, even all the stories to Richie Wellens, to all the way to the Premier League. And then when you look at someone like Pep Guardiola, that year after year is improving his team, and the game, probably a game that probably typified Man City's season was the Real Madrid game in the Champions League, and probably that's taken Man City's level into another in another way of playing the game.
Do you think, though, that there should be an award for, look at De Zerbi, Unai Emery, the job he's done, Gary O'Neill at Bournemouth, Eddie Howe, an award for a manager that's done so well? Because you can't give it to anyone else but Pep, can you? The football they're playing, winning the Premier League again, but their managers need a special mention, don't they? Yes,
and obviously, I think being a nominee is because you bring a story that is quite remarkable. As you say, Newcastle getting into Champions League spots, Robert Zerbi, what he's done at Brighton to bring straight away his own way and his ideas, his philosophy in a league like the Premier League. Obviously, the award of the Premier League manager is one, and then you got the LMA Sir Alex Ferguson trophy is a different one. Probably it's very difficult to differentiate, but yes, I agree with you. There are too many stories to reward everyone that deserves it.
Let's talk about you, because you are now with Portugal. When you were offered that job and you looked at it and thought, wow, what was it about that team? Because there's so much talent in there, isn't there, and so much potential.
There is, obviously. I think it was a big decision to go to international football. It's something that I went to the unknown. 2016, going to Belgium is I consider myself as to be a young coach at that time, and after 7 years consecutively in the Premier League, to go into the international game, it takes a bit of time to adapt. But then after 6.5 years in Belgium, you realize that is a specific job. It's a completely different to the club level. It's more intense when you are together. Then you got time to look back. You coach in a very, very different way, and then being involved in big tournaments, to be in a World Cup or to be in a European Championship is something that you dream of as a child. When you're kicking the ball in the streets, probably you always try to envisage yourself playing in a national team and trying to play against Brazil in a World Cup. And I think that takes the profession at a different level. Obviously, we had a fantastic time in Belgium. We were able to reach levels that they were very special, to be 4 years #1 in the world, to be able to finish in a bronze medal in 2018, quarterfinals in the Euros, and then we had a really, really disappointing World Cup in Qatar. And that's what happens in football. You get these highs and lows, and I felt after that I wanted to carry on in international football. And Portugal, in many ways, has a lot of similarities on that generation that we had in Belgium. Two countries, around 11 million population, which means that the way that you educate players, the way that you try to work in the youth levels is very, very similar. And then it's the experience and the three, I would say there are 3 generations within one dressing room in Portugal that it makes it really, really special.
And probably the top of the top generation is going to be Ronaldo, right? So I wondered about the decision to bring him in or keep him in, the fact that he's playing in Saudi, what you made of the season at Manchester United, and what comes into play when you look at Ronaldo and think he's still got so much to offer on an international level.
Well, I think that was the initial point. How do you make those decisions? At that point, I understand there is a lot of, let's say, a lot of feelings in a World Cup as a national team. I experienced myself that with Belgium. There is a big aftermath after a big tournament. There is a lot of debate. There is a lot of inquisition into every player's moment in their careers. And I felt that it was impossible for me to make decisions in an office. What's important is that the football decisions need to be made in a football pitch. So at that point, I was appointed on the 9th of January, and I had 6 weeks to meet. My starting point was to meet every single player that he was in that list of 26
Wow.
in Qatar. You're talking about going to the 5 top leagues in Europe, going to Saudi Arabia, being in Portugal, and it was fascinating just to see every player, how they develop their roles in their dressing rooms in different leagues. And at that point, you realize that you got an opportunity to meet the person behind the footballer. And for me, it was a very clear moment. I met all the players, and within that, you see what it means for them to play for Portugal, where they are in their careers, and clearly for Cristiano, he wasn't ready just to step away. He was ready to be almost wanting to be part of the new cycle, and at that point, it was very easy to include him into the March camp, and then you can make a football decision. He scored 4 goals. He was a real leader, was a captain, someone that he brings an experience that no other player has in world football, someone that he can reach 200 caps for your country, but it's something that it needs to be used in your dressing room.
I wanted to ask you about a young player. I know Ronaldo is an outstanding player, but he's the future of Portugal, Raphael Varane, because I've been watching him for a while now, and especially this season, he's frightening, isn't he? That assist he got against Napoli, the pace, the power, and I'm sure many clubs in Europe want to sign him. How good can he be?
I can see why you would like a player like Raphael. I think his pace, and he plays with a smile. He's a player that is all talent. He's just instinctive. And it is true. Let's say that I haven't seen another team in Europe in the last 2 campaigns that a young player had such a big influence. AC Milan wins the Serie A last season because Raphael Leao has a huge influence. This season in the Champions League, the reason that AC Milan beats Napoli over 2 legs, it was Raphael Leao. So he is a player that we need. We have a responsibility to give him a bigger role in the national team, and it's always important to fit in him in a way of playing, and probably that's going to be the hardest job, how we can get all these attacking players, all these talented footballers in a well-balanced way to be a competitive team. But he's one of the most exciting footballers in the 1v1 situation at the moment.
And then you've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes, you've got Bernardo Silva on the verge of a treble as well, and with City. Do you ever have a situation in teams that you manage? We always hark back onto the golden generation in England and how a lot of our players didn't get on with each other. Is it not like that anymore? When you get them in camp, do you ever have any rivalries?
Obviously, you need to try to understand playing for the national team is a choice. If you are in a dressing room, it's because you are committed to achieve what the objective is. I haven't experienced myself being in a situation where I can see that the players are not in the same, sharing the same dream, or in a way they got a rivalry that is unhealthy. No. Probably is something that we're trying to justify every defeat, and we look back and there are many national teams now with talented players, and not all the teams can win. So then when you lose, you want to look back and give a straight answer, and sometimes the answer is that the opposition were better. And in my experiences, club football is essential for a footballer, but I think what you can achieve at international level is unique for your career. Those memories of representing your national team in a big tournament are something that you don't take for granted. So I don't understand if a dressing room would have a rivalry that is not positive towards achieving the best that you can in the national team.
Get Steven Gerrard on the phone immediately.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.